This lesson is on perpendicular lines. At the end of the lesson, you'll be able to write an equation of a line that passes through a point perpendicular to a given line. So perpendicular lines are lines that intersect and they create right angles. So our symbol looks like kind of an upside down T where it makes right angles. On perpendicular lines, slopes are opposite inverse. So opposite meaning if one is positive, the other is negative. Inverse means it flips the fraction. So if it was 1/3, it will be 3/1. Also, the products are equal to -1. So if I multiply the two slopes by each other, it would be -1. And horizontal and vertical lines are always perpendicular to each other. So which lines are parallel or perpendicular? Justify your answer using slope. So I need to take these three, and I need them in slope-intercept form first. So this one, I'm going to add x to both sides. So I get 3y equals x plus 1. Divide everything by 3. And I get y equals 1/3 x plus 1/3. The second one already is in slope-intercept form. And so the last one, I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. And I get -6y equals 4 minus 2x. Divide everything by -6. And I get y equals 1/3 x minus 2/3. So from this, I can see that A and C are parallel because they have the same slope. And then I could see that these two are perpendicular to those because they have 1/3 as the slope, and this one is -3. So -3 is an opposite inverse of 1/3. Write the slope-intercept form of the equation that passes through the point 1, 1 and is perpendicular to the line y equals 1/4 x plus 6. So from this, I get m equals -4. And then here, I have x equals 1 and y equals 1. So I'm going to plug in these values in our y equals mx plus b. Plug in 1 equals -4 times 1 plus b. So 1 equals -4 plus b. Add 4 to both sides, and my b is equal to 5. Now I have my m and my b, so my equation is y equals -4x plus 5. Now on this one, it says write the slope-intercept form of an equation that passes through the point 4, 3 and is perpendicular to the line y equals 4x minus 7. So that means my m, opposite inverse, and then my x is 4, and my y is 3. This time I'm going to use point slope form to get me there. So y minus 3 equals -1/4 x minus 4. I'm going to distribute, so y minus 3 equals -1/4 x plus 4. And then I add 3 to both sides and get y equals -1/4 x plus 7. Write the slope-intercept form of an equation that passes through 2, 1 and is perpendicular to the line graph. So the first thing I have to do is figure out the slope of the line that's on the graph. So I'm going to take 2 points, and I'm going to go up 2 and write 3. So my slope for this graph is 2/3. So the slope for my graph that's perpendicular is going to be -3/2. And then my x is 1 and y equals 2. So this time I'm going to use both ways just so you can see either one. You can use slope-intercept form or point slope. So y equals mx plus b. Plug in my y, my m, my x, which is 2, plus b. It gets me 2 equals, when I multiply these, I get -2 plus b. Add 2 to both sides, and b is equal to 4. So I'm going to write my equation. Y equals -3/2 x plus 4. And I'm going to do the same thing, except with my point slope form. So y minus 1 equals -3/2, which is m, x minus 2. So y minus 1 equals, distribute, -3/2 x plus 3. Add 1 to both sides. And I get y equals -3/2 x plus 4. So same answer as the first one. So find the slope of a line that's perpendicular to the given line. So this first one would be +7/2, and this one would be -5. This would be +1, and this would be -4/3. This would be -5/2, and this would be -1/3. Are you getting the idea? All right, so parallel and perpendicular. So I need to be able to look at that and say they're parallel because the slope is the same. And this one, the slope is opposite inverse. My symbol for perpendicular is that upside down T, and for parallel, it's the lines next to each other. Parallel lines never intersect. Perpendicular lines intersect to make a right angle. Parallel lines have the same slope, and perpendicular have the opposite inverse. So when slopes are opposite reciprocals, they are perpendicular. When the slope of a line, it says, right, what is the slope of a line perpendicular to y equals 2x minus 4? The slope that's perpendicular would be -1/2.